welcome to Format. I'm Sven Harvey.
And I'm David Zabia.
And tonight we're having a look at the Commodore Amiga, a visual compendium book, which was kickstarted last year through Kickstarter.co.uk, because we've now got a British version of it. And it is quite a large book. It's over 400 pages, and basically looks at the visual side of the Amiga machines. Now, when I first mentioned this to you,
I was such a muppet. Yeah, I was quite excited. I was going to join the Kickstarter, and because I thought, when you said it was a compendium, it was going to be the spec, the packaging, and the blurb on the machines. Yeah. And whenever we're out anywhere, people go, "Oh, Sven, you do micro-mark, blah blah blah. Shower us in your wisdom." And I always feel like a muppet stood on the sideline. So I was like, you know what? I'll buy that book. I'm going to learn the spec, and then the next time one mistake, just one, I'm going to be all over it. And then I found that that's not what the book was going to be. No.
What it essentially is a celebration of some of the graphics work, more than anything, that was presented on the Amiga computer. The majority of which in the book are from the games, because at the end of the day, though the Amiga was capable of a lot of sort of like work type.
Oh yeah,
uses.
yeah. The office and admin software is fantastic, but if you just look at work, I mean, the one feature of this book I really enjoyed was when you open it up, it looks like Workbench.
Yes. There we go. That's the Workbench.
Open the next section.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your Workbench screen that you would have opened up to when you first booted the machine with a Workbench disk. Blue desktop and 2 discs, and you can start from there. While we're here though, one of the very nice parts about the book is the inside of the dust jacket, which you can see here is basically the signatures are reproduced that are on the inside of the top of the cover of the Amiga 1, what we call now the Amiga 1000 machine, which is actually originally just the Commodore Amiga. So that's a very nice touch that's there. But what the book actually provides you with is, in the main, screenshots from the games and other bits and pieces. So, for instance, there we've got Defender of the Crown. One of the pieces of artwork from that, double page spread, a little bit of blurb about the game, a bit of information about when it was released, who released it, and so on and so forth. And it showcases the artwork that appeared in the games.
Which, to be fair, for when the machines were out, was amazing.
I mean, this is the thing, Defender of the Crown, that was released in 1986, 1986.
Look at that.
Look at that, and bearing in mind that PCs at the time were monochrome.
Yeah. PCs are monochrome,
unless you spent
Amigas
a huge amount of money. So, that's quite eye-opening. And that's before the A500 even got released.
Yeah.
And you go through it, and it's in sort of chronological order. There's little bits where it comes out of it, and it does little interviews and special parts on things like Deluxe Paint, because Deluxe Paint is rather important.
No, it's a big part of the Amiga issue, but it wasn't the only art package.
No, quite. I mean, there's personal paint and other things, and this is immediately into one drawback of the book, is that it mentions Deluxe Paint, it mentions X-Copy of all things.
X-Copy,
It was basically used to pirate games. So
they encoded that.
From my point of view, that's a bit of a weird thing to be in here, because I was a retailer.
It's still but it's still part of the history.
I know, but it's back then. I was like going, Batman, 1989 Batman, such a fantastic game, and sold machines.
It did.
It's a shame there's no mention of the Batman pack in here.
I have the Batman pack.
Oh wow. But yeah, you go through the years and you've got basically double page spreads on each of these games. It's certainly not all of the games. There are games in here that I'm thinking, why is this in here? And there's games that I can think of straight off the top of my head. I'm wondering why they're not in here.
It's funny you should say that, because as we all know, when it comes to Amigas, you sing and dance and you know all of it. My knowledge is sadly lacking because. Yeah, I only really liked what I liked, and that was it. I pretty much relied on you to go, you need to do this, do I? Oh, okay, fair enough. But there were some games missing from this that I genuinely enjoyed, and I didn't understand why until I poked you going, they missed this from the book. Why did they miss this from the book? And the reason for that was?
Well, in some cases it's because they needed a machine that wasn't a home Amiga.
Yep.
So either you needed a 1200 that had been boosted
Tweaked.
to the point of near Frankensteinness, or you needed a 4000 or a 2000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is very much concentrated on the games that were released and would run on the 500, the 600 and 1200.
Yeah.
There is actually a little bit about the CD-TV and CD32 as well.
Yeah.
But let's be brutally honest, the majority of the games on those two formats had a tendency to be the same as the floppy disk version but with audio on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can kind of understand where they went to with that. And also, it kind of stops when the story gets interesting. Because when Commodore went bump in 1994, the game production industry for the Amiga didn't actually just stop there. It kept going and going and going for quite a while.
Yeah.
And technically it's still going. It's very, very much smaller.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller,
but it is still going. So it's a shame that some of the post-Commodore big things and
there have been some big things.
Yeah, and there were big things and some very impressive things that really are amazing that have happened aren't in here. But then I refer back to the front cover where it says Commodore
Amiga. So
and
that's
it's all
it.
post-Commodore Amiga stuff that seems to be missing, and little bits of stuff from before then. So yeah, I can kind of see what's in here. I mean, I am missing in here F-29 Retaliator, especially because that was given away with the machine at one point. So that was one of the first games that a lot of people played. So it's a shame that's not in here. Robocop 3.
Yeah, that's awesome. Why is that one in there?
I don't know, not a clue. Because the weird thing about Robocop 3 is that the game came out in 1991 and the film came out in 1993.
Yeah.
And the first version of the game actually had images from the original, images based on the original storyboard for Robocop 3, which actually had different actors. Because the old man was still Daniel O'Hillery from the first two Robocops when they originally were writing the game and the film. And the film got stuck in development hell for like 2 years while Orwell went bankrupt and all this kind of stuff. So that's why. There's even slight changes in the storyline within the game compared with the film. And when they re-released it and the Hit Squad label, not only did they fix it to make it work on 1200, but they also fixed some of the graphics, so the old man was now Rip Torn instead of Daniel, and so on and so forth. So
which is actually a bit of a shame.
But it also means that TFX isn't mentioned. But again, that's a game that's weird because that was kind of the follow-up to F-29 Retaliator. It was done by DID, who also did Robocop 3, who worked with Ocean and released for Ocean. TFX was really, really weird because it required quite a big machine again, so that's probably why it's not in the books. It needed quite a big machine. Also, it was never actually released as a commercial game.
Actually, if you want to mention ones that didn't make it to the book, I meant to ask you about this and I never got around. The only thing, there were two things that I noticed, and I meant to speak to you off camera actually. Okay, this is why I look stupid. Alien Breed. Let's go. Oh, it's awesome.
Lemmings 2. Sorry.
Alien Breed 3D.
Yeah.
The sequel isn't in there.
No. The sequel came out after Commodore went bankrupt.
Right.
And also required a 1200 that had seriously been jacked up. It needed to have an
So that was
accelerator.
out of the box one. Oh, okay.
Well, it kind of was and it kind of wasn't. When you bought the game, there were two different versions of the games on the floppy disks. There was one that kind of ran on the original one, and one that ran on the expanded machines. But the one that kind of ran on the A1200 vanilla machine kind of ran.
Chug.
Really chugged that.
Okay. Don't hit me over the head calling me an idiot, right?
Okay.
Remember, you're immersed in this stuff, I just play with it. I got a little bit confused because it says that the first Commodore Amiga is the 1000 series. I have what I thought was the first Commodore Amiga, and it just says Commodore Amiga, there's no numbers.
Yeah, basically what we now refer to as the A1000 was originally released as the Commodore Amiga. Okay, it's the one with the pizza box style stack case with a separate keyboard that fits underneath it.
Right.
That is now referred to as the A1000, simply because when the A500 came out and the A2000 came out, they needed a way of differentiating and not calling them all just the Commodore Amiga. So you've got the 500, the 2000, and the original machine was renamed the 1000 retrospectively.
Because I remember you called me all sorts of weird names because I bought mine in the wrong order. Because I didn't buy that one until after I'd met you and got into Amigas. Because my first Amiga was the 500 Plus, which was the Lemmings pack.
No, 600.
600 was the Lemmings pack.
Yeah.
Right.
The one without the keyboard on it.
500 Plus was the first one I had.
Okay, so you would have had that in the Cartoon Classics pack?
Cartoon Classics, thank you.
Right, yeah.
I then got the Batman pack.
So you went
which
backwards
was
to the 500.
Okay.
I
then got 600.
Okay.
Then got the Commodore Amiga, which is the 1000 series.
Yes.
And I got 1200 a couple of years ago from you as a Christmas present. Oh, and the CD32.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm missing.
Because the 1200 you've got
big
is not
section.
actually a Commodore one, it's an Amiga Technologies one.
Yeah, you modded it as well, didn't you?
Yeah,
Shove
you've
some
got-
extra in the
you've
back.
got-
Because it bulges. It bulges.
Yeah,
You put it
you've
down.
got an 030 processor in it, I think. That's got an expansion board.
Because I was all over the place when it came to those, because I did just go for a mad period of I want to try them all.
Yeah, it's quite strange. I mean, this is the thing. There's a bit about the original Amiga in here, what we call the 1000 now. There's a couple of shots of the casing and boards from the other home machines, but there's a brief mention of the 4000. Nothing about the 2000 in here. Nothing about the 3000.
I'll tell you one of the for me, one of the nice features of the book was in the centre. They've got the cover art for some of the big games.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And don't get me wrong, it's absolutely beautiful, and I love that they included it because some of my favourites are there. Actually, it was Simon the Sorcerer that really brought back all the memories for me.
You know that was made in Sutton Coldfield, right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's a local game.
Alright, cool.
And of course you've got Chris Barry in it, haven't you?
But it did make me wonder why they just didn't use little shrunk down copies of that in the corners of all the pages for the rest of the games, because that would have been nice.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I love the style.
Lemmings. DMA design game. We now make Grand Theft Auto.
That's it, for a Kickstarter as well. The quality on it is
really
beautiful.
nice. Yeah, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from now. Actually, if it had been top right hand corner,
Top right hand corner, just the artwork.
from the packaging, that would have been quite nice.
So for you, what was the best feature?
It was
And
just
following all
nice.
its goodness.
To be honest, what
that
really
game.
pulled out a little bit for me was some of the interviews.
Yeah.
Some of the behind the scenes stuff that's quite nice in there. James Pond underwater agent.
Yeah.
Oh.
Back in the day gaming, proudly
Yeah, and I
presents.
like the idea of with this, for instance, we've gone the other way around because the Rainbow Islands levels were
Massive.
stacked up. So
Stacked.
yeah, that makes sense. But it was the interviews, a little bit about the demo scene that could do with expanding if they ever did a sequel to this. And it's really, we just really enjoyed it. It's a lovely sort of like harking back. It's a lot of memories, Lemmings.
Yeah, you've already said that one of the things that annoyed you about it was the fact that they included the copy software.
Yeah, Xcopy being in there is a bit.
What would be
annoying to
the
me.
other thing that annoyed you about the book?
From my point of view, and again, this ties into the whole. It's about the Commodore Amiga and not
The Amiga,
the Amiga as a whole.
That'd be a very big book.
It would be a very big book. Is it's missing some of my favourite games of all time, like Napalm, because it was Amiga CD-ROM. You needed quite a big machine for that. Wipeout 2097, which was released on Amiga, and most people don't even realise it got released.
Everybody always thinks that Wipeout was much further on.
Yeah, well, it kind of was, because Wipeout 2097 didn't come out on the Amiga until 99.
When was that on PlayStation?
96, 97.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a little bit late. And it came out on the PC, then it came out on the Amiga, and then it came out on the Mac after.
And yet I always think of it as an Amiga game.
Yeah, it's weird. It was probably me mentioning it an awful lot.
You did bang on.
Yeah, because it was just the fact that look, it can be done. The fact you needed £4,000 worth of machine.
There was a music thing I absolutely loved on the Amiga. It was very techno style and.
Oh, right, State of the Art. The demo State of the Art. That's in there.
Yeah, that is in there.
That's in there.
I know that's what made
quite
me
cool.
think of it. I love the fact they actually put that in.
Super Frog. Garrick Schwartz animation. Great. Absolutely fantastic. Syndicate.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. There's a little bit in here about unreleased games, which misses a bunch of unreleased games.
Well, yeah, but in all fairness, there has been a lot.
To be fair, there's a lot of unreleased games to the machine, so, just picking a few.
Isn't it strange that they're now surfacing and people are going, yeah, go on.
Yeah, a good one, when suddenly we hit Putty Squad, where the original producers actually released Putty Squad on the Amiga as a freebie download, not last Christmas, Christmas before, something like that. And one of the Kickstarter options on this was you could get it with a boxed copy of Putty Squad, and they made the boxes up and duplicated the discs.
Nice.
Specifically for it, which was just epic. Super Stardust, and the section that didn't make it to the PlayStation 3 version, which was a shame. But Gloom, Theme Park, it's just.
It's an epic book. It really is.
It's a really, really nicely produced book.
And to be fair, the price wasn't that bad.
No, I mean, when you bear in mind this is probably going to become a collector's item because it's only going to have a short run.
Yeah.
And it's a small publishing house and so on and so forth. It's just a kind of a shame it isn't definitive, or perhaps as definitive as it could have been. But it kind of does what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitive within the construct of its own framework.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what I would love to see is a follow-up. Perhaps call it Beyond the Commodore Amiga Visual Compendium, and have stuff that came out after Commodore went. Stuff that required a bigger machine. A bit more about the machines.
How about Commodore Amiga, a Visual Compendium Plus?
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. And it'd be nice to see a bit more about the demo scene, and certainly be nice to see a lot more about some of the other graphics packages or other.
You know what I would have liked to have
software.
seen? I would have genuinely, because when you first said about it, I thought, oh, that's going to be cool, because I loved the artwork for, as you said, the Batman pack, the cartoon pack.
Packaging.
There was some amazing packaging kicking around, and I'd quite like to see it just a little.
I mean, a bit more in depth about the Batman pack, especially because the Batman game and RoboCop made those
major titles.
And the Batman pack made the A500. So if it wasn't for that pack being produced in 1989 at $399.99 and being tied into the release of the film, the Amiga probably wouldn't have been as big as it was. So that's quite an important thing. But as I was going back, D-Paint's in there, X-Copy's in there, which still riles me a little bit. But there's no mention of Lightwave. Minor release, that. Tiny release, and no mention of ProTrack and stuff like that. So what I would suggest is they actually did, one of the Kickstarter things was a CD. When you kickstarted it.
Oh, hang on. We'll
come back to that in a second.
That's cool.
We'll come back to that in a second. But one of the things the Amiga was really, really, really known for is not just the graphics, it's the sound, it's the music.
Yeah.
So what I would do, Sam, who was the guy who did this, what I would do, Sam.
Hello, Sam.
Hi, Sam. Is I would do a follow-up book, cover some of the post-Commodore stuff, cover some of the stuff that needed a bigger machine that was at home, cover a bit more on machines, do a bit more about the demo scene, and certainly do things about Lightwave and stuff like that, and ProTracker and Optimed, and give us a CD, even if it is remixes of some of the music, and get one track from each of the major producers.
Aside from the bonus stuff, which I'm not quite as impressed with as you are, I was impressed with one piece of that. The rest of it I'm looking at going, It's a lovely produced book.
Yeah.
You should have forked out the extra money and got the hardback.
Yes, I should.
You should have.
If I could have.
But it's a lovely produced book. The quality is fantastic. He came up with a nice idea.
Yeah.
And he ran with it. And he stayed within the confines of what he set himself out for. Yeah. And for that alone, fair play.
Yeah. It's absolutely worth buying. I will give you a link in the description below and where to go and get one of these from, because I do strongly recommend it. Try and get the hardback one if you can afford it.
Yeah. How much extra was the hardback version?
I think it was an extra £10 or £15, something like that.
Yeah.
but at the time it wasn't an option for me.
Well, no, it's fair. Come on, with our outgoing disease. Ooh, no, thank you. Now, you liked all of your extra bonuses.
Yeah.
I liked the poster.
Yeah, the poster's really nice. Now these are things that you got for backing it, and it reached your stretch goals. It reached quite a few of the stretch goals.
I liked that. I thought that was nice.
Yeah.
Lovely piece of artwork.
Nice bit of foil.
Yeah.
Inlay there.
Okay. The bit that I genuinely thought was worth it was the CD.
Yeah. This is basically some of the tracks from the original Shadow of the Beast game. They've been remixed by Tim Wright, who actually did the music to the second and third Beast games, and it's basically being presented as Tim Wright versus David Whittaker, who was the guy who did the original music and music to inordinate numbers of other games.
From a non-geek, because you are a geek when it comes to things, from a non-geek point of view, the things I loved most about this book was within the constructs that he set out for himself. I think he's done a really good job of covering everything.
It's certainly a successful publication.
The quality is lovely.
Mm-hmm.
The artwork is phenomenal. It really is. I honestly believe from a quality and standards point of view, it is a fantastic book.
Yeah.
More than that, from a nostalgic point of view, I genuinely enjoyed flicking through it. I was very pleased. So yeah, I'd heartily recommend that to anybody who's into gaming history, especially anybody that's a fan of the Amiga. Negative points for me, I would have liked to have seen more of the box artwork. I'd have liked to have seen a little bit about the actual machines, but again, that was not within the confines that he set out for himself. That's just a personal thing. How about yourself for the actual book?
Again, Commodore Amiga. It does what it says on the tin. Being someone who's really into the platform, yes.
Who would guess that the guy who writes the micro column for Amiga might enjoy the machine?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen some more about the bigger machines, especially being it's a British book, maybe a little, though there is already quite a British slant to it because of who they've interviewed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more about what Commodore UK did, so the Batman Pack, the A1500, things like that. Do you know about the A1500? Yes.
Only because of you.
Yeah, true. And so on and so forth. And it is screaming sequel, make a sequel.
Maybe it's something he's working on.
Maybe.
Okay, now, what? Right, so.
Right, I mean, the first thing that was on Kickstarter as one of the, I think it was a stretch goal, was this set of postcards.
I love that one.
Yeah, so state of the art. Yeah, absolutely. So
nice shots.
From demos.
Nice quality, but if you were that bothered about these, you could go get these printed up. So, not for me. Don't get me wrong. With the Kickstarter package, okay. But
I was a little intrigued why they're matte and not gloss, but choice of personal choice.
You like the fact there was a sticker?
I like the sticker. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
I love the Commodore Amiga, but it's like I love the Amiga. It doesn't matter if it's Commodore or not.
Yeah.
There's a second copy of this postcard, which I assume is a different postcard for each person. So everybody who backed the Kickstarter actually gets a thank you for backing the Kickstarter, and signed by Sam Dyer, who was the guy behind the book.
Yeah, which is nice, but again,
you
like the. I know you really like the pen.
The pen's quite nice. It's got the very original Amiga logo on it.
But again,
done by
you could get
when it was Commodore Amiga, because it almost had the boing ball instead of the check mark.
Yeah, but again,
so,
if you were that bothered, you could get those. There are companies that do,
especially
really
because
limited runs.
I have had that artwork for a drawing card.
Oh, I'm not saying anything about copyright, but generally.
No, I got it from Amiga.
Oh, but that's alright.
So with permission to use it. So
okay, you like the laser.
Yeah,
always like
the laser etch page marker is quite nice.
Yeah, that's nice, but again, you could get that done. Now things are much harder to get done. This would be very hard to get done because of the...
Yeah. This is a poster for Another World, using the original artwork, but with A gold foil.
Yeah, the foil is now getting places to do foil on posters. Is far harder to do.
So yeah, one of the reasons this was a stretch goal, I think, is because they hit the amount where it was worth having them done.
Viable.
Yeah.
Now the next thing, as far as I'm concerned, they didn't need to give you any of this. This would have been enough.
Yeah. This was a stretch goal that required, I think it's 3 times the amount required to actually get the book produced in the first place to get this. I think it was something like that. And this is a remix of the soundtrack from the original Shadow of the Beast game. Now, a lot of people
know a few fans.
A few, because the Shadow of the Beast games were, well, the first 2 especially, were certainly games that caught people's attention. They were graphically gorgeous.
16-layer power scrolling.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah,
you had fantastic soundtracks.
Oh yeah.
Though the playability wasn't exactly great, to be fair. Yeah. But they sold machines. You put on the Shadow of the Beast original demo, which was a rolling demo which went round all of the
everywhere had it.
Everywhere had it, because it actually self-replicated. This disc self-replicated. You put it into an A500 and you actually, do you want to press 1 to copy this disc or 2 to run the intro? Like, okay.
I love the fact it was the first option as well.
Copy this onto another floppy and give it to someone else. Okay. That's another point.
Another point.
But what's interesting about this is the original soundtrack was done by David Whittaker, who's quite a massive name in computer game music.
Yeah.
And he's stuff on the 64.
Well, I've heard of him, politically.
Yeah, he's big. The remix is done by Tim Wright, who did the music to Shadow of the Beast 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And Wipeout. So essentially this is a Tim Wright versus David Whittaker album, which just makes it priceless. It's fantastic, and the only way to get it is to have been in the Kickstarter.
Now
that's got collector's item written on it.
You know, I'm a big fan of Kickstarter when it comes to things like board games, because you know that's the kind of gaming where I really shine. Yeah. So, and you know, I occasionally do it for music for artists, because there's lots of artists now who have broken away from their record labels and doing their own thing. So yeah, fair enough. But you're a big supporter of Amiga stuff, just generally on there, aren't you? Yeah. Whenever I can afford to, I jump on stuff. There's a couple of things where I've missed out, and because I couldn't do anything about it. But yeah, there's some fantastic. There's been the Amiga Works. Yeah. Fantastic. There was the Turrican Anthology, which I somehow completely missed the fact that one of the discs has. Before it arrived, and I opened it up and looked in the inlays and realised that it has a medley from the 1986 Transformers movie in it. Because how did you miss that? How I missed that? You will that, don't we? You will that. Oh, it must have been all that, because the original Turrican game on the Commodore 64 unabashedly just ripped off the music from the original Transformers movie, and when Vince DiCola found out, his response was to do a remix for the music anthology, which was just like, okay, good attitude, good attitude, we like it, which is just great. So yeah, I tend to do that, but anybody who reads my column in Micromart, the Amiga Mart column, will be very aware of me going on about all these things. You know, it's always, I'm a big believer in supporting talent, and it's a great way to go. Now, one of the things we are going to be reviewing soon is From Bedrooms to Billions, which you'll be watching quite shortly, which is basically charts the start of the video, well, what we now call the video games industry, what we then call the computer game industry in the UK, starting from ZX8081 period and onwards. We will mention one of the drawbacks in that when we do the review, but one of the things that's coming out of that is there's actually a sequel to it called Bedrooms to Billions, the Amiga Years. So unsurprisingly, we may be reviewing that when it comes out, but they're still filming that at the moment, and I'm hoping they'll come to some of the 30th anniversary events and review. Oh god, you're going to end up on a Blu-ray, aren't you? Won't be the first one. Yeah. Okay. And there's obviously because it's Amiga's 30th anniversary this year, we will be doing more Amiga stuff as the year goes on format. Cool. Because it requires it by law, frankly. Because I am the law. You are the law. You is the law, is you? Okay.
So yes, yeah, it's a wonderful book. Go buy it. Go buy it. Links
And
down
on
below.
that note, links down below. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. So thank you for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow us on both Facebook and Twitter, and there's the official Geekology and Fortnite website, which the link is around here somewhere. Thank you for watching, and good night.
Good night.